Good day, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Favi, and welcome to Arrows DIY. On my channel, I like to do Dollar Tree DIYs, high-end dupes, thrift flips, and the occasional trashy treasure. Now this is part of the Dark Academia Valentine, and it's hosted by the lovely Indiana Jones. A whole group of us got together to show you some ideas for your Dark Academia home decor. Don't worry, if you don't know what Dark Academia is, I'll explain in a bit. So all you gotta do is listen in for our secret questions and answer our questions in our comment box below, and you'd be entered to win a mysterious prize, a collection from Indiana Jones's craft stash. You want some? I know you want it. So good luck, and may the odds be ever in your favor. So for this DIY, I just decided to get romantic. So this is the most romantic thing I have in my home. It's a pickle jar. A pickle jar full of my wedding flowers. So this is a very, very special piece to me because not only is it my wedding flowers that I dried and preserved in this jar, but it also has some of my grandmother's dried flowers. So it's very special to me. I'm gonna start off by using this black paint by Decor. And what I'm gonna do is I'm going to make some polka dots. Now the first set of polka dots didn't come out perfect, and it's because I didn't put enough paint. So this second set came out a lot better. So I would recommend using the back of your paintbrush and putting a good amount of paint on the end of your paintbrush. If you don't have enough paint on your paintbrush, your polka dot will be a very sad and crooked polka dot. And we don't want that. So just make sure to dip your paintbrush and get a good amount. You don't want the paint to be dripping off the paintbrush, but you also do want it to make the perfect circle. It's also important to anchor your hand so that, you can put the paintbrush down at an angle and try to keep your hand at the same angle so that every polka dot looks uniform. But like I said, we're gonna cover this detail, so you're not even gonna see this. So don't, give yourself some grace, be good to yourself, and just have fun with this project. So as you can see, both sides have those four strips of these polka dots, and each polka dot's about ½ an inch away from the other one. And the second row that I made of polka dots is slightly offset from the first. Once I finished that, I went ahead and I added some more polka dots around the top rim of this jar. And it's fairly simple. It's just a cute little decorative detail. What I want to do is I kind of want to make my own lace design for this romantic Dark Academia DIY. I did the same thing for the bottom row of the jar as well. Now I'm going to take this onion bag. Yes, this onion bag, and I'm just going to cut off the bottom portion of it, and I'm going to use this as though it was lace. So if you don't have lace, this is a good alternative just for your DIY. It's very durable. And I go ahead and I paint it with this Decor multi-surface black paint in a satin finish. So it is a little bit shiny. And I was okay with shiny because I wanted this to be very, I wanted it to look very, I don't want to say high end, but very shiny, I guess. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use an acrylic white paint, and I'm gonna paint the whole lid on this pickle jar just to take any evidence away that it was a pickle jar and to cover that bold blue color. I do like blue, but it's just not the vibe I'm going for in this video. So once these onion bag pieces are painted and dry, we're gonna go ahead and cut a strip. Now this strip is about 6 inches by 2 inches in width. And we're just gonna cover the polka dots we made originally. We're gonna cover those 4 vertical polka dot strips with this fabric. And this is gonna help it look like lace. My DIY was inspired by Gothic architecture. So I'm gonna try to replicate some Gothic architecture. So I just put a strip of hot glue to the top and the bottom, and it's important not to put the fabric on with your hot glue piping hot, because it does kind of melt depending if you're using a high temperature glue gun or not. I would recommend using it even though it melts a little bit. Just be a little careful with your placement. Don't tug on the fabric too much. Just kind of tap it down nicely and gently. Now we're gonna go in with some of this antique copper by Folk Art. It's part of the Treasure Gold line, and this is the most interesting color, which is why I chose to use it today. It's called antique copper, but it's very purple and it's really cool. It takes about 3 coats to see the pure color, and I let it dry between each coat. So you'll see here I kind of stop, but once it has about 2 coats, this is what it looks like, and you can see the copper. Don't worry, because I am gonna add some more distressing later on in the video to make it more dark academia. So now I'm gonna take some of these nylon cable ties from Dollar Tree. I call them zip ties. And we're just gonna cut off the top portion, that square shaped connector. We're gonna cut that off, and we're just gonna use these to make a border around that lace detail. So I cut the cable tie, the zip tie, we cut it to about 6 inches in length, and I do that for a couple of them. For this here, you're gonna need about 8 of them. Well, just have 12, just in case. You're gonna need 12 of them, I'm sorry. So once those are all cut, I use the same detail tip glue gun, and I use Gorilla hot glue sticks. You can use whatever you use. I'm just recommending what I use in case you want to replicate this. And I just hold the cable tie very securely. You want to hold it very firmly, and for a while it dries. And you want to add the hot glue in a kind of like a thick line, so that when you push down on the cable tie, it stays put. If you put too little, it won't stay, and you're gonna have to add a whole bunch of glue. So I think just for a neater application, put a good amount of hot glue and press it down. And we're trying to make kind of like a window, a Gothic architecture inspired door that has, it looks like a lace door. I hope I'm making sense, but you'll see in a bit. I do the same thing to both sides here, and I want it to look like a dark, lacy, romantic door, inspired by a bird cage as well. So once I have those 2 sides there, I add another cable tie going across the top, kind of to frame out the front of my jar. And this is what I chose to be the front of my jar, because I like how that baby's breath is being displayed on this side of the jar. Now don't worry if you do get a little bit of hot glue around, because it's super easy to take off hot glue from glass. You can take it off with any sharp edge, maybe like a sharp razor or even your nail. You should be able to just scratch off any excess hot glue anywhere on this jar. So now I go ahead and take another zip tie and run it across the bottom of the jar, just to make a rectangular display for the front of our jar. So now it looks framed out. And that's what it's looking like for now. And I do show you close-ups after every single step, so you can follow along and see the progress. So now we're gonna take more zip ties and we're gonna frame out the other side of the jar, the same way we did on the other side. Now I like the variety of flowers on both sides of the jar. So that's why I chose these specific areas of the jar to be showcased. And now I go ahead and I add another coat of that copper color. So now I'm gonna take some of these puffy stickers from the Dollar Tree. My sweet friend Robin from Robin's Buys and DIYs mailed this to me. So if you would like to support my channel, you could always buy me a coffee. You could support my channel by watching my videos and also by watching the advertisements. But any way you support my channel, I really appreciate it. So I took these stickers, and these are the ones that are supposed to be for the corner edge. And I'm gonna go ahead and I'm going to put those at the top corners of this kind of gothic window or door, whatever you would call this here. It's just a decorative detail, but it was inspired by a gothic door. Now I took this other piece and I cut it in half, and it's the one with the oval shape in the center. It's from those stickers you see there. I just took the word out. They're two separate pieces, and then I cut it in half and I kind of made it vertical just to cover these loose ends here. I don't want that to be showing. So I just took some hot glue and I put that over the pieces I wanted to cover, and then I hot glued them after I was sure about the positioning. I made sure that the top and the bottom corners line up nicely with the zip tie, because we're gonna paint them in a little bit and no one will ever know they were just stickers. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you are enjoying this video. If you like unique home decor on a budget, hit that bell so you're notified every time I post a new video. So as you can see here, I lined it up to the cable ties. And now I'm gonna take the other stickers here, the ones with the rectangular middle part there. I cut those in half, and I'm just gonna add those as decorative features in this top center of that frame we made. So I do the same thing. I just cut these puffy stickers in half, and the ones with the rectangular shape in the center are the ones that I use to frame out the frame. So the oval ones are going to be the bottom of those long rectangular door frames. So as you can see, I'm just putting them right there at the bottom, and I do position them first before I add hot glue to make sure everything's aligned properly and that I like the placement before I decide to hot glue it. And this is how I chose to do it, making sure that it lines up perfectly with those zip ties. That way it looks like one complete piece. Now once everything's nice and dry, you can just take off any excess hot glue strings, but it's not a big deal. It's very easy to take off. Now I'm gonna paint all of these metal stickers in the same copper color, and I do that using a small paintbrush. I didn't show you how I did that because I'm sure you know how to paint the stickers, and I appreciate your time. So thank you so much for always sticking around with me, and thank you to my subscribers, my new subscribers and my loyal subscribers. I love you guys so much. So now I'm gonna take more zip tie, and I'm just gonna wrap the base of that lid just all around the bottom of the lid so that it just matches the bottom of the bottle, and it covers that little gap under the lid. And I do the same thing using hot glue. And you are going to want to hold it for a while to make sure that it fits snug. So once that's done, I found this butterfly in my stash and I got it at a dollar store. It's an 8-inch butterfly clip. And I also took some of my junk mail. I don't know why they keep sending me these letters. I clearly said paperless, but I digress. Now we're gonna take some of this junk mail and we're gonna use it. Now, if you want, you can go ahead and use book pages here. I couldn't find any books that I was willing to rip up for this project, so I'm just gonna use my junk mail. But you could totally do this and it would be more true to the aesthetic if you use books, because dark academia is very inspired by books and literature and dry florals and preserving nature and observation and scientific. It's a very scientific. Now there's different types of dark academia, so don't forget to check out the playlist. You're gonna get tons of different inspiration from different degrees of dark academia. So now, as you can see, I traced out the butterfly shape, and where the body was, I made a rectangle shape there, because that's where we're gonna glue the butterfly wings together. So as you can see, I just cut out the shape of the butterfly, and we want to make sure that we keep that little rectangle where the body was. We're gonna fold it on that edge, and this is how we're gonna attach them together. Make sure that all of the wings are loose. If they are connected, just cut off that corner there. And I'm just gonna use this new butterfly wing that we just cut out as a template to trace out more butterfly wings. If you were using a book, you'd be doing this for every single page. A sweet friend of mine, Aarti Maddie, did this when she made her decor. I believe she made this for an apple. She also made it for, I forgot, I think it was a tree, a Christmas tree or something. I can link her video in my description box below if you want to check out how it looks when you do it with books. It's so beautiful when you do it with books. I just didn't have any at the moment. I know. I have a lot of books. I just didn't have any that I was willing to rip up for this project. So I could always do this again. It's super easy to do. So to make this more interesting, I just took some of my transfers. These are from the Dollar Tree. And I'm just going to use the leftover transfers that I just have on hand. And this is just going to give it more of that vintage, dark academia vibe. It's going to look like handwritten letter. It's kind of give it some natural elements like butterflies and flowers. I didn't want to embellish this jar with flowers, with faux florals, because it has real dry florals inside. So you just choose whatever you think is best for your project. If you don't like this, you could always even handwrite some words. I'm just showing you some ideas here. And I use the entire rub-on transfer in different spots. And I use the popsicle stick just to transfer them. It was very simple to transfer them to paper. So these wings are made of paper. It's very simple to do this part. And you're just gonna use the popsicle stick, rub it off, and that's pretty much it. So we're just gonna adhere them like this, as you can see. But first we have to fold the wings back. So we're gonna fold them opposite to the direction of the wings. If the wings are opening up to the right direction, you're gonna fold them over to the left direction. And now you're just gonna wanna cut away any excess paper that's kind of over the edge. Just make sure everything is nice and lined up, and this is fairly easy to do. And I am gonna add some rub-on transfers just to cover some of the words. Now at the end, you don't really see the inside that much. So that's why I didn't mind the fact that it was junk mail, but if it's your project, use whatever paper you'd like. I just like recycling. All right, so once I folded them up and they're kind of more full, I'm gonna go ahead and glue them together. So I ended up cutting 5 envelopes. I took one of the envelopes and I opened up a full butterfly, and now I'm just adhering those little rectangles that say glue from the body of the butterfly, and I'm just gonna stack them, adhering them to the same spot, adhering them with hot glue. And if you find that any of your pieces fall out, you can just stick them back wherever you want to and adhere them with some hot glue in that center portion. And this is very easy to replicate. Now I'm gonna take some of this Dragonfly Glaze by Folk Art, and it's in the red, violet, blue shift. Now I was just wondering that if maybe at a certain angle it would catch some light, and this might be a cool feature to add, so I just added some of this. This is a clear glaze. It's not overly in your face, it's not very noticeable, but I figured it'd be kind of cool to try this. So I went ahead and I added that first, and then I'm just going to set it aside to dry. But first I'm just going to add some more of this copper color to the outer edges, because it does have this gold color, and gold can totally be used for dark academia, but I just wasn't looking for this tone of gold. So I just covered it with this copper color, and I wasn't neat about it because I do want it to be rustic in this sense. I'm gonna go ahead and distress it in a little bit with some antiquing wax, but for now I just wanted to cover it with this copper color all around the edges of this butterfly on the wings, as well as the body of the butterfly. Now I'm gonna take some of this Folk Art color medium gray, and mine is almost empty, so this is why I mixed it in the cap. I'm just gonna go ahead and add some antiquing wax just to darken it up a little tiny bit. And this is what I'm gonna use to distress all of the quote-unquote hardware on our piece. So I'm just gonna lightly, it looks heavier here than it actually was, but it's very lightly, I'm going to go over this copper color all over these stickers as well as the lid of this pickle jar. And this is going to give it more of that dark academia vibe. It's going to be very, I want it to look old and vintage and romantic. So this definitely softens up the piece. I am going to keep the black very, very black so that there's a sharp contrast in color with the black and this distressed hardware. And I am being rough about it. I don't want it to be a perfect, I do want the brush strokes to be very rough at the top of this jar. So as you can see, I just took this little paintbrush and I'm going all over just to give it a dusted effect. Now I took this knob. This knob was from my son's first crib, so it's kind of special to me too. I go ahead and I paint the bottom of it in this black color. Now I do that because it's going to be very hard to paint this neatly on the project. So I decided to just paint the bottom before I hot glued it to the center of this jar. Now I go ahead and I paint the entire knob in this black color. It has a little bit of shimmer in it. This is the same sequence black color. Now I'm going to use some more of my leftover transfer stickers, and I'm just going to put them randomly throughout different wings. And this is just going to dress them up a little bit, give them more of that vintage literature vibe. Just kind of like an eclectic mix of different vintage pieces. So it has some buttons, it has some vintage bingo cards. This would be a good opportunity to use any of your ephemera. If you have any scrapbooking collage pieces, you could even use magazine pieces. You could even tea stain the pages. Essentially, it's kind of like a junk journal at this point. But yeah, so just have fun, decorate them however you like. You could even have a child paint them with some tea. They'll have fun painting the paper as well, just to give it the distressed look. I also added a butterfly in the center of the jar, but in the center of the back side of the jar. So this is not the side with the baby's breath. And I just kind of randomly put these rub-on transfers wherever I thought they would work. I really like this one. So in dark academia, there is different degrees. A lot of people associate it with witchy, like witchcraft, and I am not into that at all. So there is witchy dark academia, there is romantic academia, dark academia. So that's what I went for today, romantic dark academia. There's also classic. There's a whole bunch of different styles of dark academia. So I'm curious, would you ever try dark academia in your home? So as you can see there, I gave the knob another coat of black paint. And that's my question to you guys today. If you would ever try dark academia in your home decor, and if so, what piece would you use? I'm using my wedding flowers here in a jar. I kind of want my jar to look like a bird cage inspired by Gothic architecture. So let me know, what home decor piece would you turn into a dark academia piece? So I got this scrapbooking paper from Michael's on sale, the after Christmas sale. I strongly recommend picking up this pack because it has tons of paper that are not just for Christmas. I took this gold shimmer one because I thought that it would be perfect for this project. And it also ties in some of the gold that I add in a little bit. So I traced the complete butterfly and I cut it out. Once I have the butterfly cut out, I'm just going to go ahead and hot glue it to the back, to the bottom of my butterfly. And that's just going to help it look a lot more, well, less like junk mail, right? All right, so we're going to fold it as well, just to persuade the paper to flap upward. And once we have that all complete, we're going to go ahead and hot glue it to the top of this knob. Be sure that your paint is dry so that the hot glue has something to adhere to. So I'm just gonna hot glue this bottom portion. I'm gonna hot glue the butterfly made out of mail on a slant. So it is not flat, it's kind of slanted on the side of that knob. Now I'm gonna add this double bow made out of a ribbon I got from Michael's for, I think, 40 cents on sale. And then I'm going to adhere that to the bottom part of the tail, kind of like the tail of the butterfly. And now I'm gonna hot glue the butterfly like so in the center of this butterfly mail thing. Okay, so once that's completely adhered right there, I'm gonna go ahead and distress it. To distress it, I'm using the Home Decor wax in Antique, and I'm gonna water it down. So I would say probably three parts antiquing wax, 4 parts water. Okay, so very, very, very diluted. And I'm just going to paint that on to the wings of the butterfly. I don't paint it all over the entire wing because I do want some dimension. So one wing is a little darker than the other, and that's okay. With me, that's totally okay. Be sure that you water down your antique wax because you don't want it, you kind of want it to look like a tea stain. You don't want it to overwhelm the colors of your butterfly. I went ahead and I also distressed the white ribbon. I want this whole thing to look very old and very antiqued. And I think this is the part here where it really gets true to the dark academia aesthetic, I'm gonna go ahead and go really heavy on the edges of the butterfly wings. So I hold them together as if it were a book, and then I go really heavy with the antiquing wax on the edges of the butterfly wings. And I distress the ribbon as well, as you can see. I also add some antiquing wax to the hardware, just so everything looks like it was in the same place, getting old and dusty, just to make the whole, to bring all of the elements together. And then sometimes I go in between the pages as well, just to add some more of that. But I think it looks super scholarly now. It looks very old and romantic. And I'm really happy with this because it came a long way from a pickle jar. You gotta let me know what you think about this in the comment section below. And don't forget to answer my question. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and hit that bell so you're notified every time I post a new video. I cannot wait to hear from you guys in the comment box below. Thank you so much for coming and watching. And special thank you to Annie for hosting this fun collab. Don't forget to check out the other videos in the playlist link below and Annie's channel in my description box below. Thank you so much, friends. Take care. God bless. Catch you on the next one. Bye. If you like this video, here's some others you might enjoy.